Yo, what's up, guys? What's up? I'm back. I'm back on the YouTube channel. So if you didn't already notice, this is going to be kind of a combination half and half review. I'm trying something a little bit different for the channel. I wanted to try and, kind of just relax a little, sit down on the bed. I was about to say couch, but it's it's a bed here. As you can see, I clearly have, shit around me and all that good stuff. But I went ahead, I saw like two fabulous movies. I saw the first one, Everything Everywhere All at Once, like 2 weeks ago for the first time, and I'll be frankly honest with you, I enjoyed it so much that I had to see it more than one time. Because to be frankly honest with you, Everything Everywhere All at Once, the first movie I'm talking about, which I guess we're just jumping into it, is one of those movies that the minute I saw the trailer, I knew I was going to fucking love this movie. And the minute I sat down and I heard the score at the like intro title screen of the movie, like when the movie first came on in the first like 10 minutes, I was like, "Oh shit. Andrew's going to be obsessed with this movie." And yes I am. And so if you don't know what Everything Everywhere All at Once is, well, I'm going to try and describe it in a way that doesn't necessarily spoil everything. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, you kind of have certain details spoiled, but I'll be kind of vague to try and help anybody that may want to go see this in a theater before it leaves theaters to support it, and anybody who wants to eventually see it when it comes on streaming. I'm going to go ahead and try and be as vague and not say too much, but give you a gist of what the plot is. So it stars Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn, who is, she's a owner, with her husband, who's played by Ki Hae Kwan, from the Goonies and, Indiana Jones fame, obviously. This is his great return to acting. They own this, it's a laundromat, and they're struggling, as you can see, with all the paperwork at the beginning, and Evelyn is clearly overwhelmed, overstressed. Her husband is trying to get her attention the whole time, and it's got really nice vibes at the beginning, of like this like nice little family movie. But I will say, once you get past that point, things get a little crazy, and that's where I kind of have to stop, because then I'll be getting into spoiler territory. But what I will say is that these two actors work very well together, and they have a lot of great chemistry. And for the scenes where everything gets crazy and, all the shit's hitting the fan and everything, all the separate universes and all that, I would say, if you've seen The Matrix, this is what this movie is kind of in the vein of, and I think that's part of the reason, and specifically the first Matrix, by the way. I've it's been a while since I've seen the other Matrix movies. This movie really is a unique piece of art, because I really think that it's going to be, viewed like 20 years down the road as like such a important piece of media that represents like Asian culture and like Chinese culture in general. It's one of those movies that I think if I like have kids down the road, I would sit them down and go, this movie is a physical masterpiece that, I appreciated in my like, 20s, and like it's something that I personally loved, and I think that, you should see what this is, cuz it's really truly beautiful art. And I mean that very sincerely, because all the actors, all of them, even, James Hong, Jamie Lee Curtis, everybody that's involved in this movie is giving it their A game. And, you know, from the trailer, you would think that this movie is just a bunch of absurd, styles and absurd things coming together to make this crazy, wacky movie. And yes, at face value, this is a wacky, crazy, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this movie. But I would tell you, if you stick with it, if you watch it maybe more than once, if you pay attention, this movie has so much going on in the subplots that you're just gonna be like, what? And like nerd out. And like I promise you there's a lot of great messages in this movie. There's a lot of great things going on in this movie. This is just a fantastic flick in general. And each time I watched it, I remember crying over something different every time, over a different message that I noticed, over something specifically different every time. If it were, up to me and I had all the time in the world, I would most certainly watch this movie all day and explore every little detail, because everything, literally, not to be a cliche because of the title of the movie, but everything in this movie is important. It is a great movie. I could go on all day about how great this movie is, man. This movie, to me, is a straight 10 out of 10. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Andrew says, check it out. So now, guys, let's move on to the next flick. The Great, The Northman. Ah, yes. Alexander Skarsgård. As a theme, a Viking warrior. And, I want to pause because talking about this movie is going to be a little weird, because just like the last movie, oddly enough, there are things where I have to stop. I don't want to spoil too much. So, like, pause. So, like, The Northman is basically this, like, cool, like, little movie that's, like, a Viking movie. And, as much as I want to say a certain detail that happens early on about what the movie is, I think the best way that you can go into this film is understand that it is a badass Viking flick that is gory, it is exhilarating, it is beautiful. Every shot of this movie to me is so gorgeous. All the scenery going on. Honestly, I cannot stress that enough about the Northman. I mean, Alexander Skarsgård in this film is acting his ass off, but I mean, everybody in this movie is acting their ass off. Nicole Kidman, Anna Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, Bjork. The list goes on of all these fabulous actors and actresses that they have taking the material 100%, mind you, completely seriously about this, like, avant-garde, like fucking super, like, hyper crazy Viking story, but it's also like actually, like, telling mythology stories of Viking stories of, like, the past. And, like, it's crazy because I didn't know much about going into this movie, and I came out seeing it a second time and loving it even more. And, I would say for me, it's pretty high up there in the movies of 2022. It is a really good flick that you should see. I do have minor inconveniences of, like, what I would say why I can't give this a 10 out of 10. They're a little bit nitpicky, but yeah, I would straight up give this movie, The Northman, a 9.5 out of 10. So yeah, that's my ratings for Everything Everywhere All at Once, directed by the Daniels, and The Northman by Robert Eggers. Comment down below what you think of The Northman and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Did you like those movies? Did you hate those movies for some reason? You just want to tell me down below why you didn't like these movies? Go ahead, comment down below, guys. Tell me why you either loved those movies or you didn't like those movies. I'm Andrew. You can go ahead, check out the vast collection of movie reviews that I have. More movies are coming in the channel in the near future here. More not like the sit downy type style, but I wanted to talk about both of these in one setting, and I did. So yeah, thanks guys. Go ahead and drop a like down below. Hey, if you enjoyed this video as well, don't just like it, shoot me a little subscribe there on the subscribe button, because we appreciate that. you know, I don't know why I'm talking in the third person, but thanks to anybody that watched this video, and I'll see y'all in the next video.